I want to take a minute and talk about something called hormesis. Hormesis is a kind of a fancy word. It simply means adaptation. Hormesis is the goal of refining your body into a higher state of being. Where we all are at any given point in time is someplace called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a condition of balance where everything is in tune and your body is doing the very best it can with what you've given it to maintain. And that is your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your blood pressure. Every metric of your body is in balance. And to enhance that homeostatic balance, you've got to go through a process of hormesis. And hormesis is when you force the body to adapt. And it isn't interested in adapting. It's interested in staying exactly where it's at. To make it adapt, you've got to do things like raise and sustain your heart rate. You've got to take it from its position of balance. You've got to increase the load that it lifts and pushes and pulls with weights. In other words, you've got to demand that it do more than it has any interest in doing at any given point in time. And once you've done that on a regular basis, it does adapt. And I'm saying at any age. And so when I'm working with clients, they are incredulous as to whether they can actually make a change in their seventh decade, and I watch it happen before me. It doesn't happen with the speed and efficiency of their being 20, basically because the mitochondria is well worn and it's worn out, but it's still adaptive. So when you go through a hormetic process, and there are many, you are compelling the body to make a change and to get stronger, which is why we are such a magnificent specimen as we are today, because we've had to walk uphill, carrying heavy loads in the rain and in the sun and in the cold. And so therefore it is healthy for us to continue to compel our bodies to adapt in a controlled stress environment. And that includes resistance exercise. That's why the adaptation occurs. You're asking that muscle to do more than it particularly wants to do. And as long as you give it nutrition and rest, it's going to grow. And that is a magnificent thing, that we can adapt on demand. So wonderful stress adaptations are resistance exercise to make sure that our musculature, our skeletal musculature, stays strong. This is the greatest repository of glucose that we have. Your muscular strength is in direct proportion to the quality of your life at any given point in time. And everyone should be using weights. Your aerobic capacity. You're forcing your mitochondria to become flexible again. And remember to eat fat as well as all the glucose, which is deluged within a modern diet. You're forcing your alveoli to expand. You're increasing your efficiency. These are all good things. Your heart rate will come down with repeated exposure to controlled stress of cardio work. In the same way, we respond well with shock proteins and brain-derived neurotropic factors to heat and to cold. In other words, we are not made to be indolent. The aggressive pursuit of leisure is death. We are built to prosper from stress. And that stress in a controlled environment is called hormesis. On a regular basis, that means cardio on a regular basis. That means resistance training on a regular basis. That means exposure to things like sauna, like cold pools. In fact, you should be taking all of your showers with at least half cold water to shock your adrenal system and tell your body that it's alive, remind it that it's alive and you're still fighting. So we've got so many paradigms wrong. And this isn't to condemn modern society, simply to say that we more or less try to work ourselves into a frenzy to accumulate all the wealth that we can while we're young, and we exchange our health and our youth for that financial security. In the process, we usually compromise and lose that health. And in the end result, we're going to have our little bits of dollars and die, or not have any capacity to use that money in any way that we might have earlier. This isn't an indictment of modern life. I don't want to trade all the amenities I have available to me every day. However, there's a balance, and the balance is you have to remember what our purpose is here. And I'm not speaking spiritually. I'm saying as organisms. Our purpose here is to thrive, but you can't thrive by sitting in a perfectly temperature-controlled 72-degree cold room binging on Cheetos and Netflix. That's antithetical to life. Life is pushing the envelope and compelling your body to work and to strive and to adapt. See you next time.